All right, so we're continuing in Proverbs chapter 5, and this is just telling us to enjoy marriage. And of course this is in the Old Testament where God allowed them to have multiple wives, and it's so interesting that this is coming from Solomon, who was led astray by his many wives. So let's read this with the New Testament mindset that a man is supposed to have just one wife and a wife is supposed to have just one husband. And let's just realize that God has given us an outlet for our sexual desires, and that's good. And men need to know this. And, I hate how much damage has been caused by like the Roman Catholic Church because their priests are not allowed to marry. And so we've got to be very careful. Paul makes it clear in 1 Corinthians 7 that it's good if a man is single, he can be more effective for God's kingdom. But if he has those strong sexual desires, then that's okay, and he should get married, or she, if a woman has sexual desires or romantic desires, that they should get married. So let's read this, and let me just also say that the sexual desires of men can be so damaging. If you think about rape and abortion, every rape is horrible, and abortion is murder, which is horrible, and those happen because of a man's unchecked sexual desires. Rape does. And then abortion is because, a man got a woman pregnant who didn't want to be pregnant. Okay. So every abortion could be prevented by a man, having sexual self-control. And if he wants to be sexual, he's got to get married. And then of course, inside marriage, then, that's when babies should be born. And of course, if the woman doesn't want to get pregnant, if they don't want to have a baby, then they need to have extreme caution, because taking a human life is murder, and it's no joke. But anyway, let's talk about this, about enjoying marriage. Verse 15, drink water from your own cistern, water flowing from your own well. Should your springs flow in the streets, streams of water in public squares? They should be for you alone and not for you to share with strangers. Let your fountain be blessed and take pleasure in the wife of your youth. A loving doe, a graceful fawn, let her breast always satisfy you. Be lost in her love forever. And so, man, let's think about the water thing. That one of the most enjoyable things in life for me, as someone who works outside, is when you're hot and you've been working outside all day, and then you drink some cold water. For me, it's diluted sweet tea. I love diluted sweet tea, not regular sweet tea. It's too sweet, but half sweet tea, half water. I go to Chick-fil-A and I get that, or Bojangles, and man, it's so satisfying. And so is romance, and so is sex inside of marriage, that it is so satisfying. You've got this desire, and it is the fulfillment of that desire. And he's saying it should be protected, that we don't go around, you don't steal someone else's drink, and you don't take your drink, and you don't just throw it out for everyone to drink, Now, of course, it's a little different, because if people came over, I would offer them water, but I'm not going to satisfy people's sexual desires if they come over. But the point is that it is satisfying. Sex is refreshing, but we've got to protect it, and then just enjoy it. That let her breast always satisfy you, be lost in her love forever. Isn't that beautiful? That God made us to be satisfied. God gave us the desire to drink water, and he provided water. And that's an enjoyable part of life, to have desires and then get those desires met. And it's same with sexuality. And he's saying, just be focused. Just let your spouse satisfy your sexual desire. Verse 20, why, my son, would you be infatuated with a forbidden woman, or embrace the breast of a stranger? Think about porn, because that's where it starts for a lot of people, right? Let's not be infatuated with people who are not our spouse. Let's not be infatuated with movie stars. Let's not be infatuated with people we see on social media. Let's not be infatuated by porn stars. And gosh, many of them, you don't know if they're being trafficked. You don't know if they were drugged. If you've listened to the stories of porn stars and how hard their life is. Now, I don't listen to female porn stars' stories, because that would be tempting. I listen to men's stories in porn, and why they got into it, and how they had to do drugs because they felt the guilt. And so it's just a hard life for them. And let's not support that. Let's not support their pain by watching porn. And I believe you're in ways supporting human trafficking by watching porn, because you just don't know if people are making money off of these videos and it was a forced situation. For a man's ways are before the Lord's eyes, and he considers all his paths. Let's keep that in our mind, that God is always watching us and he's considering our path. A wicked man's iniquities entrap him. He is entangled in the ropes of his own sin. Man, think about that. That doing things your own way, disobeying God is like getting trapped. It is like people putting rope around you and making it so you can't move. Right? And that's why it's so important that the truth sets people free, right? Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Where there is sin, there is entrapment. Verse 23, he will die because there is no instruction and be lost because of his great stupidity. I love how this translation, a lot of translations say folly. I like how this says stupidity. Let me read that again. He will die because there is no instruction and be lost because of his great stupidity. And that's what we see in the world. We see so many people destroying their lives because of unchecked desires, unchecked sexual desires. And not only do they hurt themselves, they're hurting other people. So let that not be us. The answer, it says the answer is instruction. He will die because there is no instruction. He will be lost because of his great stupidity. That's why it's so important for us to stay in the Word of God. As I renew my mind, man, it is life to me. It's instruction for me. And it tells me the consequences of doing the wrong thing. And it's instruction. And instruction keeps me from being stupid. And so I'm not perfect, but I hang out with people who will tell me the right things, and I read the Bible. I spend time in a men's small group, and I really recommend I recommend every man be in a weekly men's Bible study where it's just men, and you can talk about, some of these temptations, and you can bear each other's burdens. And so do that, and just understand there is a great price to pay for doing the wrong thing, for not listening to God. So may you enjoy sexuality with specific boundaries in marriage. May you not watch porn. May you not be led astray by people who are not your spouse. And same with women. I know some women struggle with porn too. So ladies, this applies to you. So may we just enjoy sexuality and listen to God, listen to his instruction, because it's freedom, right? A lot of times we think the opposite. We think God's rules are the ones that keep us caged in. When in reality, if we could see things from God's perspective, there is freedom in God's rules, and there is entrapment in not listening to God. So isn't that so interesting? What we think, we feel like God's rules keep us trapped, but it's actually sin that traps us. So remember that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And Jesus said, the words I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life. And even though this is Old Testament, these are the words of Jesus. These are the words of God as spoken through Solomon.